when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, a whole lot of people following him, and he was moved with compassion for them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him saying, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late." Okay, send the multitudes away. So the disciples, they still very much not Jesus. Okay, they're not Jesus. They're not perfected in their Christianity just yet. All right, which like that's us too. Okay, because we're not all the way there yet either. But they're like, okay, it's dark. Like this is a deserted place. Like let's send these people away so we can go home because we hungry. Okay, really they're saying that the people hungry, but they're probably hungry too. So they're like, this is a deserted place and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food. Buy themselves food. Or is it that you want some food? But it's okay. So, but Jesus said to them, they do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. So Jesus is like, they do need food, don't they? He's taking care of their needs as a good father, as God, does for us. He's taking care of their needs, but he's like, they also need this deliverance. They also need, like, they're here still for a reason, right? And so he's like, they don't need to go away, which is so beautiful. Still have it in the background of our mind, the fact that he's going through what he's going through. He knows that his cousin just got beheaded, but he's put all aside for the assignment. Okay, so you give them something to eat. And they said to him, we have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Okay, we have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Okay, and then I think about who might have been there. Like maybe that was just enough for them. Child, let me tell y'all something, okay? So the people stayed around a while until evening and became hungry. The disciples were learning, so they came to Jesus like, let's just send them home. They're still learning. They're not perfect. We're right? Okay? So they can eat. And so Jesus says, you feed them. And the disciples only. So the fact that they said that they only had 5 loaves and 2 fish. They told him they had nothing here but, okay? So they say, where is it? The Amplified Bible, it says that they said to him, we have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish, okay? They said only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus responded saying, bring them here to me, okay? So imagine, baby, this part here, okay? He says, bring them here to me. So he's like, bring the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. They probably like, okay, like, then what? Like, he's like, bring it to me. And so what I take that as, though, is like, we too can bring our 5 loaves and 2 fish, like the little that we have, whatever we have. Like he said, bring it. He's like, you feed them. What is it that you have, right? So we like, okay, we got the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and we're like, we only have this. So me right now, I only have this. I don't have everything that I need for the plan, or I don't have everything that I need, or I think that I need for the vision, right? And this is not the truth. The truth is, God is like, when you have me, you have everything you need. Like when you have me, you got provision galore, okay? Like you got provision, yeah, like as much as you need. And it's just like, we have this limited mindset, but when we think about who we're talking to, like you're talking to Jesus, talking about I only have, talking about we can't, like how we gonna feed them because we only have this much. Like, child, good night. So Jesus is like, bring them here to me. He's knowing he would be able to provide for them by the grace of God. And so Jesus told the crowds to sit down on the grass. How much of a flex is it that he's like, all right, y'all bring it to me. The crowd sit down on the grass. And so he takes the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and it says, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and blessed and broke the loaves and handed the pieces to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. We gonna stay here for a second because All right, so he looked to heaven and gave thanks and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them back to the disciples. Then the disciples gave them to the people. Okay, the disciples took up 12 baskets full of fragments that remained. And what this proves to me, and I hope that you can hear me right now, is that as the disciples were obedient and brought to God what they did have, they were able to fulfill the assignment that he gave them. Go feed the people. That's the assignment that he gave them in this moment. So they brought him what they did have, and he made them able to fulfill the assignment and bless the people and meet the need of the people. And there was enough provision for them also. So they did not lack anything, right? So Jesus, let's see. Okay, so Jesus do this real quick little miracle. Okay, let me tell you. So he makes there be enough for each of them to fulfill their assignment. Like, imagine there's the disciples, right? And he's like, okay, there's 12 small baskets full of broken pieces left over. So everybody go and take some and give it to the people. And now each of you can fulfill the assignment that I gave you because y'all brought me the little that you had. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I feel like that's the word for what we're talking about right now, because he's calling us out. He's calling us to do the things. He's calling us to say the things. He's calling us to be and to go for him and for his glory. And just like I believe it was Moses, he's like, God, I can't even talk. Like, I have a speech impediment, right? And God is like, no, like, don't tell me that. Like, I know what you got, and I got something for you. Like, I'm good. He's like, if you need them, like, we got Aaron, right? Like, here you go. But just the fact that there's no excuses. And that's such a sobering thing. There are no excuses. There's no excuses, because he's like, I'm giving you. He's already told us. He's given us everything that is necessary for life and godliness. So he's calling us to be and to do this. He's given us everything that we need for that. I live by, all I have is all I need. And that is a creative mindset. That is like something that we have to take on as children of the Creator, is all I have is all I need. And so in this very moment, what has God put in my hands that I can, what did he give me? Not I only have this, not we have nothing but, because that's what they said. They said, we have nothing here but, or we only have, right? And so they're looking at it like, we're in lack. But truthfully, he's like, nah, babe, I gave you everything that you need. You have what you need. Come and bring it to me and watch me miraculously do some stuff. Make you able to bless the people. Make you able to fulfill your assignment. Whatever the assignment is. If it's finishing school, if it's talking to that person you feel like, oh, I can't do it. If it's whatever the assignment is, you bring him what you have. That's so encouraging. That is so encouraging. You bring him what you have, and he will bless that and multiply it and make you able to fulfill your assignment. Okay, so we're gonna do that part. Then we're gonna go to verse 22. Okay, so we're gonna come back to verse 22. It says Jesus walks on the sea. All right, so Jesus sent the disciples ahead of him. Let's go ahead and read this. So immediately Jesus made his disciples. Well, let's read through that text too, because that's good stuff. So he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples. And notice that he didn't do it like, he's like, no, you guys can fulfill the assignment now. Okay, gave it to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. So they all ate and were filled. The disciples didn't go hungry. The people didn't go hungry. Nobody's hungry here. We're all eating. We're all filled because they were obedient and brought to him the little that they had. They didn't say they didn't argue. Okay. And they took up the 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. Why are there 12 fragments that remained? Is that perfect that the people get fed, they get fed? Wow. Okay. Because there's no No coincidence that the 12 fragments remained, okay? Now, those who had eaten were about 5,000 men besides women and children. 5,000 men besides women and children. How many kids the men got, right? How many of them got wives? So we talking thousands, okay? We talking thousands, all right? And so, then we have Jesus walks on the sea. All right, so immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he sent the multitudes away. Okay, so he's like, y'all go ahead. I'm gonna handle the people back here. I know y'all been working all day. Y'all go ahead, right? And so he went up to the mountain to pray once the multitudes left. So he's like, real quick, I'm gonna go pray. Y'all are already on your way, you know, Godspeed over here, so don't even worry about it, okay? This shows us that we complete the assignment, then we still go to meet the Father on our knees. So looking at Jesus' life, he's like, he came to remember that he went, he was going so he could have a moment, okay? So it's a balance here. I feel like that's what I took away from it, is there's a balance. Is Jesus went to go have his moment with God that he sincerely did need, but he fulfilled his assignment, and then he still went and met the Father on his knees. Like, he's still going away into the mountain by himself to pray, like it says in verse 23. And now when evening came, he was alone there. So he took his time with God after finishing the assignment and doing it excellent, okay? He did an excellent job. Right, but the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, okay? So the disciples were far into the sea by the time Jesus finished his intimate one-on-one time with the Father and came to them. So the winds are blowing and crashing, okay? The winds are blowing and crashing. It says the boat is in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. So the wind is tripping. The wind is tripping. This is like the wind that you don't want to be in. This is the water that you don't want to be on the boat. Like, yeah. So all of that's happening. And verse 25, now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. So I had to look it up. Fourth watch, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., okay? So this is a highly spiritual time, just so we can note that. So Jesus came to them walking on the sea. Mind you, he just charged up. He just came from his prayer closet, okay? He's been on the mountain talking to God. And so the reignitement, the charge, the power that we get from, even when he was the week before, like, he was like sad that his cousin just passed. His cousin was beheaded, was killed, okay? And then he goes, does his assignment in excellence, goes to pray, he comes back walking on the water. This is my Jesus, okay? So came to them walking on the sea, and what naturally opposes men is not in our nature to do. Okay, what naturally opposes man and is not in our nature to do is easy. It's nothing to God. And if we do it with him, we are capable of doing it and not failing, as long as we keep faith in him, keeping our eyes on him. Okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna run it back. So hold on. So now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost." Okay? And they cried out for fear. So the strong waves and the winds were an instrument in the hand of God to show forth his power and glory. I'm going to say that again. The strong waves and the winds that they were experiencing in that boat while they were terrified. The strong waves and the winds. I'm trying to keep my tears back because the strong waves and the winds that they're experiencing in this boat, while they are shaking, while they are terrified, while they are experiencing fear, a real emotion, they were experiencing a spirit of fear was with them on that boat. And they are looking around, they're like, oh my God, we're gonna die. We're out here by ourselves. Where's Jesus? And we have moments like that where we are like, where is Jesus? Where is Jesus in this moment? When I'm looking around and the waters are raging at me, and the boat, this little tiny boat that I'm on, that he got me on, it looks like it's gonna flip over or break in half. I'm with these dudes, like, they scared. It's bad, okay? But God is using the waves and the winds as an instrument in his hand to show forth his power and glory, and our lives are like that. He had control the entire time and the ability to stop it. It was never out of his control, right? It was never out of his control that this happened. So it says, but the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. And the fourth night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking, they're like, oh my God, it's a ghost too. On top of the fact that we are in this water that's going crazy, there's now a ghost walking towards us. They are just like scared. So they cried out for fear. And immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, be of good cheer. It has an exclamation point next to it. It has an exclamation point next to it. He's like, be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid. Like, huh? Huh? Right? Like, what? Okay. And so these waves and winds, right? These things happen so that God could be glorified. They had been sitting in the boat, struggling with the winds and strong waves in the boat together from evening sometime until between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Because remember, it said it got dark and Jesus was still at the on the mountain praying when it was evening. And so between evening, which I would call it evening, like 7, 8, maybe 9, 10, they out here for hours. My God, they're out here for hours experiencing these strong winds, these waves, darkness. They're on the sea, like just together by themselves though. No Jesus, he's not here. And I'm sure, like, in other moments, they're like, why would he send us out? Like, didn't he know he was gonna do this? Like, he's God. Like, didn't he know that the winds and, you know, the waves was gonna do this? Like, didn't he know? Why would he send us out here? And I'm sure, like, in those moments, like, a lot of people experience the fear, the feelings where it's like, oh my gosh, like, maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe he doesn't love us. Maybe this is all a joke. Maybe the guy that we're following is not who he says he is. And sometimes in our lives, like, people are like, maybe he doesn't love us. Maybe he's forsaken us. Maybe he sent us out here to die. Why would he not come with us? Didn't he see the weather? Like, all of these thoughts. And we go through things like this. Like, when we go through things for a prolonged period of time, it feels like forever. And we may begin to ask, where is God that he hasn't saved me from this or delivered me from this? And we asked this question the other day at a Bible study. Like, where is God and why is God taking so long? And the answer that we came up with was simply that God's here. Like, with me, with you, like, God is here. He's never left. He promised that he will never leave or forsake us. So he's present. And that goes back to us just looking at the fact that this is an orchestrated event. Like, even this issue, it can't happen to you unless God allowed it to happen to you. This plague, this problem, this 2020 COVID couldn't happen to us unless God allowed it to happen to us. All of the things that happen, and I know people ask, like, why would God allow that? But then we have the answer. He's coming. He's here. He's coming. He's not forsaking you. He's coming and he's answering when you call out to him. And so these things are for his glory also. And so it says, yeah, where is God that he hasn't saved us from this? But really it's a setup, and it's orchestrated. It's an orchestrated event that will show forth another dimension or character of God that we have not yet seen. So God wants us to see him in a new way, in a new light. Like he wants to know, he wants to unveil himself. He wants us to grow in intimacy with him. And so he's like, we got to let this happen so that we can grow closer. He's like, this is my bride. I want her to know me. I want them to know me. I want them to love me. I want them to see who they got as a defender, who they have as a husbandman, who they have, who they're in covenant with, who is this father that they serve, who is God? Because you got the question, where is God? But really the question is like, who is God? Who is he showing me that he is in this season? While I'm waiting, while I'm persevering, while I'm praying for this person, waiting for their deliverance, who is he showing me? God, who are you showing us that you are? God, who are you showing us that you are in this situation, in this season? And so for them, they would see the miracle that Jesus could walk on water, and that we too can walk on water with him, and by faith in him, that even the winds and the waves obey him. So let's go ahead and read this little part here. So it says, Peter, when he sees him, Jesus is like, be of good cheer. The exclamation part is kind of sending me, because he's like, be of good cheer. Like, he's like, no problem, we cool, be happy. What's up? What's the problem? I'm gonna read that in, so verse 27, he says, take courage, I am. The good news, that's the good news, is that he is. So he's like, take courage, I am. Stop being afraid. What are you scared for? I'm here. Okay? Oh, what are you scared for? I'm here. That's God's word to you. What are you scared for? I am here. And so Peter is a bold brother. He's bold, okay? We got respect for Peter, because he's also inquisitive. And remind you that this is the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. hour. So they think they see a ghost. They're like, this might not be Jesus. We're going to test it. Peter is willing to test it with his life. We're going to talk about why Peter might have been ready and willing to test this with his life. Because, like, if it was a ghost, like, were you going to obey the ghost? Like, if he said, walk on water? All right, we're going to talk about that in a second. But Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. So he said, come. Jesus is like, come. And when Peter had come out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. So he said, come. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, first of all, Peter, you're getting out of the boat. The people on the boat, the other disciples, we just established this is a ghost. Are you seriously about to go and like get out of the boat and walk towards like, are you crazy? Are you dumb? And so this actually also brings me to a thought. So the disciples prior, they're probably like, why would Jesus, our master, send us out here? Did he know the weather would be this bad? Is he chilling? Or will he come out? Is he coming? Right? Will he make it out here? They might have been questioning the fact, like, can Jesus even come? And in a situation that looks so bad, can God even come and get me from here? Can he? Like, is this too bad for God? Is the fact that I can't pay my rent tomorrow, like, is that too bad for God? Because maybe I've been there and he came. But is this situation too big for God? Is a question that they might have been asking. They have thought they might have thought that they would have had to weather the storm alone, or just with the people around them, because it didn't look like the Lord was coming anytime soon. But I want to tell you today, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell you, you can weather this storm because he's coming, because he's here. You find God wherever that place is, wherever you're going through. Like, I'm a firm believer in the fact that there are two ways that a hardship can go in this situation. I believe Peter, he's the one who took the right one, and then we have the other disciples who they have a point of regret because they're like, dang, like I could have trusted God and walked on the water too, probably. Like if I would have bidded him to, you know, like asked him to bid me come out, like I could have trusted God and I could know God in a different way as well. But now it's just Peter. So there are two ways that this could have gone. There are the people that trust in God and the people that wish they did. And at the end of the day, at the end of the world, at the end of everything, that's what we have, is the people that trusted God and the people that wish that they did. It's only two types of people. That's what I'm gonna say. There are the people that trusted God, that put their trust in God no matter how stupid, how silly it looks, and then there are the people that don't. And those people, the people that don't, will never see the manifestation of his glory, because you have to depend on him for the manifestation of his glory. I'm preaching to myself, it's good, okay? Like, you have to depend on him. It's no other way that you're getting to the end. It's no other way that you're getting to the finish line without depending on this God Almighty, to get you there. Flat out, okay? So people in the boat are people that didn't depend. Peter is like, hold on now, like if it's you, and you know what else? There had to be some level of him knowing that was him to even be like, I'll walk on water to you. He knew his voice. Okay. Right. So it didn't look like the Lord was coming anytime soon. They may have thought that he forgot or changed his mind about coming. Sometimes we get a promise. God gave them, Jesus gave them a promise. He's like, I'm gonna meet y'all. He literally said he sent them ahead and that he would meet them. Where is it? All right, it says they gave it to the 5,000, and Jesus sent them before him to the other side while the multitudes went away. Before him implies that he's coming. He's coming. So they had some type of agreement. I'm sure they didn't just go out there like willy-nilly, that they were just going out there. They knew that Jesus was going to come meet them. They probably thought he was going to come meet them on a boat like a human, but he decided to show up in glory. He decided to show up in glory. So Jesus sends them ahead. They go through their little ordeal, whatever, their little situation, that the sufferings of this present time are not to be compared with the glory that's about to come, right? Because Jesus is about to come and show up, right? So they go through their little situation, and they're expecting him to come on a boat, you know, normal stuff. He's coming, walking on the water, and showing them that they can too walk on the water when they keep their eyes on him. Baby, talk to me about this guy, okay? He's like, you go through this, you endure, you persevere, and I'm coming. Surely, though it tarry, it will not tarry, okay? He's coming. He that shall come will come, okay? He that shall come will come. Alrighty, my God, okay. So, right, he didn't rush, but he came out even though it wasn't their ideal timing. So Jesus kept his word to them, even though it wasn't their ideal timing. Yes, they had to wait. Yes, they waited from evening till 3 to 6, somewhere between 3 to 6 a.m. Yes, the woman with the issue of blood suffered for years and years and years, but did he come? Yes, he came. Okay, yes, the lame man sat by the pool waiting for something that was not gonna happen. He came. He comes every time, right? So we know that he's coming. He's coming. He didn't leave you deserted, babe. Let me tell you that. Come here. He didn't leave you deserted. You're not alone. You're not deserted. You're not done. He's not done. He has more for you. He has more for you. So much more. So much more. So much more. Alrighty. So, right, like the woman of the issue of blood, the lame man, the blind man, or Lazarus. Remember Lazarus and Mary and Martha, and they're like, man, like, okay, this dude died. Okay, he died, and Jesus came. All right. And then even the man whose daughter died, we have the guy who's like, my daughter is at home, she's sick, like, I need you to come. Like, the girl that died. Death, if death is nothing to Jesus, if this resurrecting God, this Jesus who raises from the dead, like 3 days they weeping and mourning a man who died a brutal death that he didn't deserve for us, but he dies and he resurrects. Like, it's giving you can't lose being on this team. That's what it's giving. It's giving you can't lose on this team. It's giving we don't lose over here. We don't know what an L is. It's giving we win every time. It's giving the dub was handled on a cross years and years and years and years and years and years, thousands of years ago. Okay, it's settled. It's settled. It is settled. Okay, so yeah. Right. So when the time is right, the Lord will make it happen. Though it tarry, wait for it. The vision will come and it will not tarry at the appointed time, right? And then we have the woman who was persistent in making her petition before the judge. We also have to persist. We have to stay. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is that we have to learn how to be patient. And he tells us that our patience, when it's perfected, I believe that's the one that it makes our faith perfected, right? Our patience it becomes beautiful. It becomes a testimony where you can say, I waited well. Because the fact of the matter, as much as some of the disciples didn't walk on the water, as much as some of the disciples didn't walk on the water, as much as Peter was the only one who had faith, as much as even Peter sank in the water after having his eyes on Jesus and took it off, there's still the aspect to this story that the disciples, if they really were down bad, which they were fearful out there, like it says they were in fear. They shrieked. Like, these are grown men crying out to Jesus, like, help, right? They're crying out for help. And they could have jumped ship. Like, sometimes, and I think that is the word here. Do not jump ship. Do not jump ship. You have a secured win, but you gotta stay in it. And so whether that's the business, like, don't jump ship on a business, like, don't jump ship on the marriage, like, don't jump ship on the destiny. The promise that he made is final. God is not a liar. And so whatever he said, he's coming. Like, if he gave you his word that he's coming, that he's in that thing with you, he's in that thing with you, and that's just it. And so you just gotta stand on it. You cannot look at what it looks like and be like, well, it would be better if we just get off the ship. How about everybody just jump in the water? Let's jump in the water together. They would have never seen the manifestation of God's promise. They would have never known what it is that they had the power to walk on water with Jesus when they keep their eyes on him, when they have faith in him. They would have never known that. They would have never had the testimony, none of the testimonies after that, which is largely just beautiful, wonderful stuff. We wouldn't be here talking about the stuff that we're talking about, not from their mouths at least. They wouldn't have the testimony that we're sitting here reading right now, that Jesus walked on the sea, that they, like, this testimony that we're even talking about right now wouldn't be if they jump ship. So don't jump ship. That's another word, okay? So, right. It would make even more sense of why their first assumption when they saw Jesus walking towards them on the water was that it was a ghost. The fact that Jesus came even at the fourth watch of the night is encouraging, because he sent them ahead of him. They were expecting him at first, at least. You keep your expectation in Jesus. Lauren, you keep your expectation in Jesus. You who's watching, you keep your expectation in Jesus. He's coming. And he sent them ahead of him to the other side.
And we know
right.
that in all things
it caused stagnancy, my God. So he sent them ahead of him to the other side. So our place called there, or the promise, whatever is on the other side of, like, between us and the boat. Where the boat is. The boat is between us and our promise. So wherever we came from, God took us from one place. He's like, you go ahead. I'm going to meet y'all there. There's a place prepared. Go ahead and go there. Wherever that place was, which we find out in here, but where, if we go a little deeper, there's a place. The place where God has for us. But on the way there, the storm came. And the waves crashed and delayed them, and it caused stagnancy. They just sit out there on a boat, scared. They're just sitting out there on the boat, scared at this point. They have somewhere to go. The destination is out there still, but they're here. They're just in the middle, stagnant. And it caused them to not make it to the place that he told them to go ahead of him to, but he still came. He's like, I'm gracious. I'm going to come get y'all from out the water. I don't know why y'all sit in the water, scared of the water, but we're going to go, right? And so what I learned, though, also is that in those moments when you do experience that like, fear tries to creep up on you. First of all, fear is a spirit, and we rebuke that spirit in the name of Jesus. You speak to that stuff, right? And so whenever that stuff comes, you're praying. You have to pray. And I bet you if they were talking to God about it, if they brought it to God and prayed, I bet you they wouldn't have been out there scared and shaking and all that. But that's okay. Sometimes we do have to persist in prayer. Okay? But yeah, even at the fourth watch, like, he still came, even in the storm and the winds and the roaring waters, by any means, even defying nature. He walked for those many furlongs. That's another thing. The scripture tells us that they went, it says, but the boat was by this time out on the sea many furlongs. A furlong is 1/8 of a mile. 1/8 of a mile. So they're many eighths of a mile out on the water. And Jesus still comes out there in the storm, in the waves, in the winds, all that, to come and get them, because they're his. Yeah. Okay. And it reminds me of the scripture that neither death nor life nor any other creature or any other thing can separate us from the love of God. So we have this beautiful love story playing out right before us. And so, yeah, he tells us they won't leave us. He tells us they won't forsake us. And he's not unfaithful to forget our labor of love and what we do for the church. They just got done finishing the assignment. Even though he had to, like, walk them through that mud, they did. They did the assignment. And he's not unfaithful to forget that.
That in all things, God works